Remember when you thought getting your first 100 followers, getting cast in that show, selling your first piece, or booking that dream gig would change everything? Because same. But after 5+ years pursuing my craft, post-college, post-acting school, I realized that I was measuring all of the wrong things. Because what's really worth measuring is the amount of inspired action that you're taking. The biggest believers in manifestation, myself included, are the first people to also tell you that manifestation is nothing unless you are taking action. This is all about knowing what is in your creative control. Well, there's so many things that we envision, like, oh, I want to get this and I want to get cast in a role. That was my big thing. Like when I was living in New York City and I was auditioning for Broadway, I was like, I want to get cast as Christine Daae in the Phantom of the Opera. I can't control that. And that's okay. And the first step to understanding manifestation and achieving your dreams is understanding that that is not something that I can control. But in the same breath, there are a million things that I actually can control instead. I was constantly disappointed as a non-union actor when I'd go into the waiting rooms, wait like 7 hours a day for all of the union actors to go, only to be told by the end of the day that, oh, we're not seeing non-union actors today. And I realized like I really don't have control over certain things, so why am I making goals? My goal is to get cast as Christine Daae in Phantom of the Opera by 2017 or whatever it was. Wasn't realistic. What we should be focusing on is what can we actually control? So let's break it down. Views, follows, whatever type of creative you are, there is going to be a sense of eyes on your work, people who are looking at you. You cannot control how many followers you have. So if you have a goal of having an Instagram account for your art, a goal should not be, my goal is to have 10,000 followers by 2000 whatever. You also cannot control the purchases of your products. You can't control, I want this many people to buy my products. I love how like this is just falling. I got it from ThreadUp and I just think the person before me was a little bustier than I am, so I'm just kind of like trying to keep it up. You can't control who buys your products, how many sales you're getting, how many people are buying your products. Cannot control that. And if you're a creative like me, someone who's more like a gig worker, you cannot control how often you're getting cast, who is casting you, the role that you're going to get, the amount of work that you're going to get. So you might be thinking, well, what is even the point if I can't control any of this? The good news is that we can actually focus on what we can control, and that's going to make our creative journeys so much more romantic and so much more beautiful and so much more enjoyable, and we're actually going to be able to achieve our goals because we're making these realistic. We can't control this as much as we can't control the fact that it's gonna rain outside in 2 minutes. That's in a higher power's control, and why would we even want to control that? Do I have bags in the back of my shot? Because I really tried to clean. Wait, is this bag being shown right now? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, no. No, 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 no. I can't control how many people watch this video, but I can control cleaning boxes from my background. So what can we control? We can control the routines and rituals we build. The daily habits that we have. The fact that we wake up and we welcome our mornings with tea, reading the artist's way, or listening to a podcast, or going outside, or drawing. The tiny moments of joy that we bring into our lives to encourage creativity. The way that we carve out our lifestyle. This is something that is so important to me. It was so weird for me to start this YouTube channel because I'm like, I'm not like this big actor yet. Maybe, hopefully one day. I'm not this person who's released 1 million records, so why would anybody listen to me? But I started talking about the fact that I'm on this creative journey, and that's what's important to other artists, is romanticizing this creative journey and making it a journey that's actually enjoyable, because a lot of us have this destination addiction, and we kind of, myself included, I have days where I'm just like, I want this goal to happen, I'm impatient, and it's those moments where I look back, I take a moment and I think about, actually, I can control the way that I carve out my day. I can control the fact that I can work from home, that I can work from my office if I want to, that my office is purple and it makes me happy, that I have a tea bar and that I can have tea whenever I want, that I have snacks everywhere, that I have cats that make me happy, that I have a partner who makes me happy. These routines and rituals that I've carved out for myself are things that I can control, that can nurture my creative journey. To make my lifestyle conducive enough so I can be inspired and creative, but not only when I'm reaching that goal, also on the in-between times, right? Like on those ebbs and flows. Which one's the ebb and which one's the flow? The hills and valleys. When I'm at that hill, I have like, I hit that goal and it's so exciting. I can control the fact that the valleys are also enjoyable. Even if it's in a time where I want to be creating more, I'm feeling impatient because I have one song out and I want to release other music. Right now, I know that crafting my artistic journey and creating a lifestyle that makes me happy actually is helping me be a better person. It's helping me fully dive into who I am, because truly, when every single person in the world is doing what they love, living a life they love, and being themselves, the world is truly a better place. Jack Canfield says this a lot, and I love it. He says, imagine if everyone did exactly what they wanted to do. The crossing guard would love being a crossing guard, the florist would love being a florist, the painter would love being a painter. Everybody would have their own roles, everyone would be secure in themselves and grounded and happy. Think about what sort of life that must be. And a lot of that is just learning what your lifestyle looks like, what a romantic lifestyle looks for you, what a creative lifestyle looks like for you. And of course, the inspired action that you take is something that you can control. And if you know anything about manifestation, a lot of people think that, you're saying affirmations and you're looking at a vision board and that's really all that you can do. But in reality, manifestation is nothing unless you are taking inspired action towards your goals. There's so many different ways to do it. The inspired action that we take is what's going to get us where we want to go. Now, the reason why actions are so amazing, they compound over time. Every action you take makes you better. Every time you practice, you get better. There's never gonna be inspired action that you take for your creative lifestyle that isn't going to make you better in some way. The more action you take, the further you get in this process and the more powerful your actions become. I've seen YouTube as an example of this, and I've been releasing videos for about a year now, and the actions I took at the beginning, I was getting like 5 views on every video, but I just looked at that as inspired action. And now I get a few hundred per video, which is so cool and amazing. And maybe in the future, that's gonna turn into a few thousand. It's compounding on itself, and I'm really not doing anything differently other than being consistent. And I have my video linked here about the power of consistency and keep going, and how I just live by that so much. The thing about actions too is that, let's say that we do reach that goal that we have. We get the dream job, and we get 10,000 followers, or we get like $1,000 worth in product sales. That's amazing. And I hope that's consistent for you. It is not all the time. It's not consistent all the time. Sometimes we get that thing and it's amazing, and then it goes away, right? But the power of inspired action is that once you take action, learn the skills, that compounds, it only grows from there. You're never gonna lose anything. It's never gonna put you back. While the dopamine rush of hitting a goal is amazing, the fact that you're taking inspired action is actually bringing you closer and closer to something and gradually helping you grow. Oh my gosh, I just saw Wicked. You're always stepping down the yellow brick road closer to the Emerald City. You're never walking backwards, basically. Inspired action creates results. 10,000 views, that's amazing. You get that on your Instagram reel. You get a gig that you've been working towards for such a long time. It's a great dopamine hit, but again, that's not always guaranteed to be something consistent. Whereas inspired actions, let's say you wrote a song a week for 100 weeks, you wrote 100 songs. Imagine how much you have learned about writing music from that entire experience. You're building an actual catalog of work, but then you're also learning so much. This is just from inspired action. This is amazing. This is all from something that you are controlling. You've decided, I'm gonna write 100 songs, I'm gonna write a song a week, even if it's not good, even if I'm never gonna put it on a record, I'm just gonna do it. That's already taught you so much. Practice 100 days in a row. You don't even have to finish anything. Just the fact that you warmed up your voice 100 days in a row. You practiced 100 days in a row. You spent 10 minutes drawing 100 days in a row. That is skills that you're not gonna lose. You're only gaining from doing that. This is improvement that you can actually measure. Action is so cool because, again, it builds momentum. Very often times, each action makes the next one easier. I've taken so much action in my life from college. I constantly would connect with people and go to workshops. When I was a theater major, I'd go to workshops, alumni from my college who came and talked about their experience. And all of those little pieces of actions, going to those, taking notes, going to see a show and studying the acting, going to see a movie, meeting up with my voice coach, all these little pieces of action is making the next one easier. It doesn't always have to do with skills. Sometimes it is about skills where you're practicing and it's getting easier every time, but it could also be asking for help. I have my video linked here about asking for help. That could be a very difficult thing, but every time you take inspired action to ask for help, ask a colleague, ask a professor for advice, ask like an old classmate for advice, every time you do that, it gets easier and easier for you to then wake up and say, okay, what am I gonna do to get closer to my goal today? It's like going to the gym. You have to work out, you have to work those muscles, and the more you work out, the easier it's gonna get, and the more you can then expand the weight to 20 pounds, 25 pounds, 30 pounds, the more you can talk to more people or get deeper into something. Action also trains you to create these rituals. Inspired action, and I don't know if I've even explained it, inspired action is when you're taking steps towards your goals that feel aligned and energizing, that you can directly connect with you and a dream that you have in your art. It's different from this concept of hustle culture and the just taking any sort of action and waking up mindlessly at this time and drinking this juice because you heard somewhere it was good. It's being truly mindful and targeted towards a specific goal and being able to connect and say, I know that this is going to drive me towards some sort of result towards this goal. It's opposite from sitting around and kind of waiting for something to happen and being like, well, I have a vision board and I'm looking at my vision board. It's saying, no, what actions can I take? What are things that can take me closer to this goal? And it's a pretty easy way to decipher it, and you just look at it and say, like, is this going to bring me closer towards my goal? Sometimes I need to watch Netflix, but I understand that like 99% of the time that I'm watching Netflix, it is not inspired action. It is because I would like to watch Netflix. The cool part of this is that it's also training you to create rituals to romanticize this journey like I was talking about earlier. When we're more aware of being mindful and thoughtful about the actions that we're taking towards our creative dreams, the more we can treat these as big or small actions. The more we can look at inspired action as the big things, like I'm gonna go reach out to the agent because I've been looking for an acting agent and let me go reach out to them. Or it's the small things, like my body really needs a big glass of water right now and I'm gonna follow that. It's everything. It's all of that. It's all in service to you and your creative lifestyle, your temple, your body, your space, your career, all of these little moments, understanding that this is some sort of inspired action towards your art. When you can start recognizing, drawing these connections between, I'm going to reach out to this person, I'm going to post on Instagram even though I'm scared. That's inspired action, and that can be just as powerful as, I need a break day today and I'm not gonna do anything because my body is asking for a break and that's what my artist needs right now. Same thing. So when we talk about manifesting our creative goals, there are some mindset shifts that we should have, especially when we start looking at inspired action, thoughtful, intentional ways of working towards our creative life. I think language is such a powerful thing. As a songwriter, as someone who went to school for theater, the way that we speak to ourselves is so powerful. I have to remind myself just as much for things like this. If we're saying something like, why isn't this working? I get so frustrated. Sometimes the songwriting process for me, there's things about it that aren't working and I could constantly say to myself, something's wrong, something's broken, and I need it to get fixed. But shifting that into, what can I try next? Again, we're walking down the yellow brick road. There isn't necessarily anything wrong. If we trip, we just keep going. It's just part of the path. Am I good enough? You wanna watch this video next on comparing yourself to other artists? Definitely do that, because I am so guilty. It's not even funny of doing that, having FOMO. I had to just get myself off of Instagram for like the first 6 months when I really started getting serious about writing music, because I just couldn't. It wasn't anyone's fault but my own. I just couldn't. Shifting that, am I good enough? Am I good enough to get cast? And oh, they didn't cast me, I'm not good enough. Or oh, why am I not getting enough sales? Am I not a good artist? Shifting to, I'm getting better. This whole idea I love is 1% better. I just think is such a relief. If you could look at your days and just look back and say, did I get 1% better today? That is all you need, because if you look back on the year, 365 days, that means you're 365% better in a year than you were the year before. And that's amazing. 1%, I mean, you could do 1% better every day. I know you can. I mean, they don't like me. I was so guilty of this In college especially, there's so many times where I think back to college, I'm like, what would my life have looked like if I did not care what people thought? Because I cared so much about what people thought about, friends and my theater department and the people who were casting all the shows. I cared so much. I feel like my life would have been easier if I didn't. Shifting this perspective from like, why, like they don't like me if someone doesn't cast you, if you don't get picked for something. That's obviously the first thing that we're all thinking about because we're sensitive, we're artists. But what if we actually shifted that into, I'm baking something that's just not ready yet. I'm baking something that's just not fully ready to eat yet, you know? We don't look at the cookies in the oven and say, oh my gosh, you suck. You are so gross. You say, oh my gosh, I can't wait for you to become the delicious, delectable cookie that I'm going to eat. And I'm probably thinking that because I just had 2 cookies right before this. And I remember looking at it in the oven and I'm like, I can't wait. I mean, I would probably just eat it raw, honestly. I can't even wait. And that's why we have friends in this creative journey, that they're just like, I'm just gonna be with you even through the uncooked part. Is this getting weird? I don't care. I don't care. And then this whole, I need more followers, I need more work, I need more money. I get that, and that's fully valid. And you know what? It's amazing that you're thinking that because you have aspirations. Not everyone does. So the fact that you have these aspirations and goals is great. And let's also shift this language into, I need more practice. If we are constantly looking at it, again, shifting it into things that we can control. We cannot control how many followers we have, how many people buy our work. We cannot control how much work we get, the people who cast us, the people who love us, the amount of audition rooms that I've been in. I'm just like trying to have this person like me. I could try to telepathically make a person like me so much, be so nice and give the piano person my audition music and just be the nicest person. I could look like their ex-girlfriend and that could be the reason why they don't like me. So I'm not even going to try to impress people any more than if I was just walking down on the street. If we shifted this perspective, I need to look better, I need to be better, that's great. Let's just slightly shift it into, I need more practice. I need more practice in something. I just need to practice more. That's it. That's something that you can control. We always need more practice. Meryl Streep, when she gets cast in movies, she's practicing, you know, she's not like, oh, I don't need practice. We all constantly need practice. We need to be in practice. They only really talk about doctors being in practice, but like, what about artists? Like, I'm an artist in practice. Should that be a thing? Artist in practice TM. I like it. By the way, if you're finding any of this valuable, definitely subscribe. I'd love to see you around. So what are some techniques we can use for inspired action? Because I could tell you all day, like, do stuff, take action. It's like, wow. And that's understandable. I have been a self-development, self-help aficionado for a long time. So I sometimes have to remind myself, like, wait, what are just some practical ways that anyone can get started in this? Jack Canfield, in his book, The Success Principles, has a wonderful principle. That's just take 5 actions every day that'll get you closer to your goal. So easy. I love it. I mean, if you just break down right now, one of the goals you have, let's say your goal, I want to be in a Hallmark movie. Cool. What are 5 actions you could take right now that can get you closer to that goal? I bet you're not gonna say get in a Hallmark movie as one of them, because we know that that is not something we can control. Well, I haven't been into an acting class since 2020 when the world shut down. I've been eyeing an acting studio near me. So the first thing I wanna do is I want to go onto the website and look at any new acting classes that are going on. Great. Number 2, I want to set up a little corner in my house that will help me do video auditions. So it is so easy for me to just whip out my camera and do them on the fly. 3, I want to look at my old acting resume from 2022 and see what tweaks I can make. Is there anything I would add? Are there any special skills that I can add to that? Number 4, I can find a script of a movie online and start practicing some self-tapes. And number 5, I can set up a time to meet with a friend who's an actor in the area, who's been acting for a while, who totally would love to talk to me about anything acting, and I can ask them for coffee. 5 things. Now, listen, I understand that could be very overwhelming. You might not have the time to do all of those things, so maybe you make it 3 things a day, 2 things a day, 1 thing a day. But do you see how those 5 things, if you genuinely had 1 day to do all of those things, like, that would be amazing. Like, that is so many things that brings you closer to that. Imagine if you did that, even 5 things a day for for 365 days a year. I always get myself to do math on this channel, and I just end up having to do it on my computer. And I'm not, you can do the math. That's a lot. That's a lot. A lot of stuff, a lot of actions. Tim Ferriss says, you know, just do 2 tasks. 2 tasks a day. In most situations, he talks about how it's just so hard to do anything else. But if you have 2 things that you have to do a day, I do that to myself sometimes in my cozy girl job, and I'm just like, oh, I only have 2 things to do today. That's so easy. And then I end up kind of doing reverse psychology, because then I look back and I'm like, wait, I got all that done, and now I can get even more stuff done, instead of me assigning myself like 7 things to do in a day and I only get 4 things done, and then I feel like a failure. So 2 things a day. A to-done list is something that I hear in the neurodivergent community a lot, and that's basically looking back at your day right now and being like, what did I do? Down to, I brushed my teeth, I made breakfast, I made my bed, making lists of everything that you've done. And those might not be necessarily inspired action, might not necessarily be directly towards your creative career, but making your bed is a sense of self-care. It's a way of keeping your environment neat and clean and respecting it. I truly feel taking care of your home and your body are such important parts of nurturing your artist. That can be really helpful, especially when you feel like you're in a rut, if you feel like you don't have time for 5 things every single day. Just looking back and being like, wait, no, I did stuff today. I was useful. Can be really helpful, especially when we kind of get caught up in doing work for other people or doing work we don't want to do. Reflecting back and being like, no, wait, I actually am productive, can be really helpful. Body doubling and accountability partners, this again is very helpful in the neurodivergent community, but anyone can reap the benefits of it. Static uses a app called Flow Club, and it's a body doubling app where a bunch of people will basically just walk through what they're gonna do. There will be people who are like, hey, I need to write some code within the next hour. Another person who's like, I just need to do my laundry. Sometimes Static will just get on it and he's, I need to just make coffee and set up my workstation for the day. You know, you can do anything. Sometimes when we're working remotely or when we're by ourselves, it can be very overwhelming to get things done. So using tools like that can be really helpful to get that inspired action done, or again, just feel that sense of productivity and accountability. So you know that things are being done, actions being taken, steps are being taken down the yellow brick road towards the Emerald City of your next creative goal. We want to train ourselves to be able to recognize and honor the small wins. Because when we're able to celebrate the morning smoothie, when we're able to see this morning smoothie is helping nurture my soul, it's helping make me healthier, and finding little joy in that, and oh, I'm so excited for this yummy smoothie this morning, and finding ways to be excited about these rituals that we create, these inspired actions that we take every day to make our lives better and more beautiful, the more we'll be able to just really melt into those moments where we really get that next creative dream of ours, and we can just bask in it all the more. Being jaded is probably one of the worst things you can be. I'm sure you've met people who are in a position where you would love to be, and you're like, how could you not celebrate the fact that you are doing this right now? And they're like, oh, whatever, I just want to get to this point. I don't think that's a way to be. You know, I think that's a hard way to live. There have been people that have been falling into my life recently who are delighted by the smallest things, and it's just the most beautiful thing. Like, I'll make candles with them and we'll just get excited because they smell good. I follow a YouTuber, Exo McKenna, and she'll just vlog about her going to this thrift store and finding a really cute frame and being like, I love this frame. And I find myself doing that too. I mean, I get excited over the littlest things. I'm still excited over the color of this wall. I'm obsessed with it. I painted it a year and a half ago. Every time I look into here, I'm like, I love it. Having this childlike sense of joy for every single day on this creative path will help you when, not if, when those creative dreams happen to you. Gentle reminder, I tend to do this. I'm a queen bee of doing a lot of things that just make my life hard. Overcomplicating the systems. We don't need to make this super overcomplicated, making all of the finding a project management system and doing tasks and subtasks and everything. I talk about that because I need to do that in my cozy girl job, in the job I have currently full-time now that is making me money as I pursue my future creative full-time career. But when it comes to inspired action, we don't need to make this complicated. If this is your first time doing this, and if this is your first time hearing something like this, and if you're like, yes, let's go, don't overcomplicate it. Do 2 things every day. Do 5 things every day. Let's not add in a bunch of new systems. Let's not, just find a way to do it. But also say, don't plan too far in advance. I have a video linked here about the fact that I really don't plan anything more than 6 months in advance as far as goals and dreams and aspirations, because again, there's only so much I can control, and I feel like if I'm trying to control anything more than 6 months in advance, I don't know what my life's gonna look like in 6 months. I have certain things that I will probably still be living in this area, and there are certain things I know for the most part, I hope will be the same, but this life moves so differently, and the fact that we can move and shift with what the universe throws at us can help us become very resilient. Understanding not only can I not control them, but they're actually working in my favor. It's not that I can't control them because they don't want me to achieve my goals. The universe actually wants me to achieve my goals. It's working with me. It's just a lot smarter than me. So I'm like, you do your thing, girl. Do your thing. I'm gonna do my thing. You do what you can control. I can do what I can control. And I'm not going to plan too far in advance because I want to honor the fact that you're probably gonna throw things in a bit of a different direction than I think. A lot of people always say, I would have never imagined that this is how my life ended up, but I'm so happy. You know, there's people who have achieved their dreams and you can never actually think about how it's gonna happen. You just know the why, you know the what, but how is not up to you. You don't have to worry about that. That is the universe, that is God, whatever you wanna call it, that is something else. So I'm not gonna try to dictate how that works. So I'm not gonna over plan. I'm not gonna get like super, super rigid and be like, my life has to look like this. I'm not gonna give like Paris Geller. I'm gonna give like Lorelai Gilmore, just a little bit more, I trust you, okay, cool. If you are discouraged by big tasks, again, when I say 5 things every day that you need to do, doing 2 things every day, let's not make those big tasks. Okay, my goal is to get cast in a Hallmark movie. Step 1, get cast in a Hallmark movie. You know, like what? No, let's break that down. So if you are getting overwhelmed and you feel like I have a lot of tasks that I don't really know, they seem so big, just break it down. Break it down. If you want to like get an agent, the checklist is not going to be step 1, get an agent. It's going to be step 1, make a list of 5 people I know who have agents. Step 2, reach out to them and ask if you could bring them to coffee. Just break it down. Every big goal can be achievable. You just have to break it down. If it's too confusing, just break it down more. Keep it simple. We see so many numbers, especially if you're on social media, if you're measuring any sort of website traffic or social media following or the following other people have over you. There's a lot of numbers that can make us super overwhelmed. I want you to understand that you actually have so much more power than you think. You might just be placing a little bit too much energy into the things you can't control as opposed to the things that you can. You can control the inspired action that you take. Each of those pieces of action are going to bring you closer and closer to your creative dream, because I promise you, whatever dream that you have is completely achievable. There is enough space for everyone. Your dreams are not gated. They are perfectly attainable. The only thing that is between you and your dreams is inspired action. I promise you. We are all in this together. We are all just taking steps to enjoy our creative lifestyle while also hitting goals that we really want and achieving dreams that we really want, because we want to share our message. We want to share our creations for the world. And I think the world is going to really love what you have to say. Stay inspired, stay creative, and I will see you next time. Bye.